Okay. Hi, everybody. Tonight we're going to be talking about crystals, and I just have a little bit of homework to go through our, all the details. So the first one is please don't share the link because we want to keep our room private. I'll be sending a recording in the handout. Probably, oh, it's a kitty. Jen's got her kitty on the pic. Please keep yourself muted unless you want something. Just raise your hand. I'll be watching the screen. Write down your questions. And tonight specifically, I would encourage you to have a piece of paper because what I'm going to do is basically give you an outline and I'm going to send it to you. But really, you're going to fill the outline in because you'll want to personalize it. I'm going to give you my thoughts about it and what I might do, but I want you to pick your crystal and the reason why and things like that. And we should be able to just do questions as we go along. And I think that's it. Yes, okay. Right, that's good. So crystals, and then I'm going to share the screen with the handout, but crystals do this. They magnify and amplify. Well, you go, okay, well, that's fine. What does that really mean? So the best example I can give you is if you have a crystal and you're in a bad mood, do you want to amplify and magnify that bad mood? No. So you want to choose the crystal very carefully. Now, if you're in a great mood and life is awesome, go for it, right? Then you can pick accordingly. And that's what I'm really going to talk a bit about too, is being really conscious about your interaction with the crystals because you want them to work with you. You don't want them, like today I got an email from a client that asked me about labradorite, which I am going to talk about tonight. Can I have that? And the answer for her was no, because I'm working with her on clearing discordant energy, so negative energy. We don't want to, because labradorite, which I'll talk more about, is about light, bringing in light. You'd think, oh, well, why not? Well, because her foundation, she's not grounded. So if she's not grounded, she can bring all the light she wants to come in, but it ain't gonna work. So what I suggested to her is obsidian, which is the one of the other ones I'm going to talk about. So as that'll give you kind of an idea, I want to make it so that you can personalize it and ask your questions for you specifically. So let me get to the share the, it's right here. Okay. So like I said, they amplify and magnify, and there are factors that determine their job in your life. And this is really important for you to think about. What are you asking the crystal to help you with? What are you asking it to stabilize? What are you asking it to do? Because it's going to respond to the emotion and thought, the energy that you put in it or with it. And then the other properties, so the properties of the particular stone is its vibration. And so what is that? What are you asking that vibration to help you with do? So again, it's very conscious about what you're doing. And there are 1,000 resources. I find some of them very confusing because there's so much information. This is the way I use it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about shape, but next time I'm going to talk about color, even though we'll talk a little bit about it tonight. They influence the multifaceted decisions that you're going to make when you use a particular stone. So these are the 4 that I really love. and they're very easy for me to have as examples. And so we're going to start with amethyst, purple, one of my favorite colors. And why is amethyst such a great color stone, and why is it spiritual? Well, let's look at the vibration. If you're looking at chakras, if you've studied them, right, the heart, I'm just going to start at the heart. The heart is usually a green color, right? And then you go up to the throat and it's a shade of blue. And then you go up a little bit higher, and then this gets a little bit more towards purple. So you're now getting into the spiritual realm where the divine, God, whatever your belief system is, connects to your physicality. So this is why amethyst is a spiritual stone. So I break things down, I think, in folders. Can be scary, but for me it works. So the first one is I want to start in the area of your environment, your home, looking at the feng shui of it. So why would you use amethyst in your home? Well, where would you use amethyst in your home? Well, for me, amethyst is in my relationship corner because it's very important for my relationships to be informed by my spirituality, my belief in that the world is a beautiful place and that there's a God or a divine. And because I wouldn't be able to interact with people that are in my relationships if they weren't also in that same place. So that's an example. So you want to think about where in your home, what would be a good place? And I would say that my office would be another great place because I make sure in the energy of what, so we're moving into work and healing. The work that I do with everyone, I look at the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual, because they all work together. So then you would think about, okay, now in my healing work or in my own work, if you're doing IT or nursing, or where would you put amethyst in your work? So I might, if I'm got a person on the table, I might take an amethyst and make sure that it's placed near the crown of their head, maybe on the floor under the table. Or if they're having a problem, let's say they've got GI problems, I might take an amethyst stone and lay it on their body right below their belly button so that they can, we can ask for the reason, the lesson. So here's the spirituality for this person to have this problem here. What is it that they can't stomach? What's going on? So that they can learn, or maybe they can connect with their spiritual beliefs around why they are not feeling well. So they get an insight. And today you can see, jewelry-wise, I have my amethyst earrings, my pendant, my bracelet, and I'm wearing it to inform my body. So what would I want, what am I looking for here is I would like the vibration that amethyst brings to make sure that my physical body is as high of a vibration as possible so I can support the energy of this group. Because I want everyone to take something away that helps their life. And life isn't just spiritual, but it is informed by us all getting to know each other and being on the same path and meeting our tribe or whatever that kind of thing is. So if you notice, I've divided it. You have your environment, Now we have, yeah, so environment could also be home, right? And then you have your work. So, and for some of us, that's some healing work. Then you go to your physical body, and now we're going to go inside, inside as in meditation. So how could amethyst be a good stone for meditation? Or you're going to go, wow, that's a pretty easy one. Well, you could have 4 pieces of amethyst and it can go around your meditation cushion. So then you're creating a container. You could have it on your altar to increase the vibration of your altar. You could hold it in your hands, which would take you back a little bit to the jewelry piece, because now it's on the outside of the physical. But if you're doing it in both hands and your intention is to use, so this is where your thoughts and emotions around the usage of that crystal is really important, because now you have it in your hands, but you're wanting it to help you with your meditation. So is that making sense to everybody? Is there any questions? I think what I'll do is stop the share for a moment and make sure that this is working. How's that for everybody? Did that make sense? Anybody have, yes, questions? Had you ever thought about amethyst in that way? Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I think in folders. So the body of work, I mean, I have a stack of books this big of just crystal books, because that's, or I'm online and I go through that website and that website and that website, because I want to make sure that I understand. And now after all these years, I look at it and I go, okay, it's too much information. Everybody says basically the same thing. So how can I make it functional and practical? Usable, so that I can go into a crystal store and know that when that crystal talks to me, I can't get my mind off of, my amethyst bracelet that I saw, can't get my mind off of it, then it must be time for me to take it home. I must be needing to have this vibration in my world. That's kind of my thing, because it's all about vibration and energy. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Quick question. Just where I've often read that people will say to use amethyst for like addiction, whether it's food addiction or substance addiction. Do you believe that, or?
Well, the thing is again, what's the root cause of the addiction? It's a good question. It was like the example I used, I might use amethyst on somebody's stomach problem because they are really fighting the reason that they're having the stomach problem. So what I'm wanting to do is have them connect to their deeper self or their divine, or say the prayers, or so that they get the insight. So addiction is usually some kind of belief about themselves, and what they're trying to do is feed so they can feel better, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of a simplistic way. And none of that's bad, because we all have addictions. Everybody has them. Mine happen to be stones is one of them. Books is another. He would be a good one. And learning, these are all my addictions. So they serve me, but they are still addictions. I get a little crazy when I go to Jen, have we ever gone to a crystal store before? Okay, yeah, she's seen me. It's a little bad. But everybody, you have to figure out what's the root of it. So childhood trauma, I would use it something different. If it's a belief that they're not worthy or not lovable, so then if they're not lovable, they need something else to balance that. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really about discovery. Yes, dear.
So for addiction, where would you place the amethyst on the body?
Uh, it would depend upon the root of what's going on. So if, let me think about, so the most recent, because I have done a great deal of work with addictions. The most recent person was in their 20s. They had been avid addictions for at least 10 years, probably been, doing drugs, smoking, all those things for years and years and years. And the root of that was this thing about showing the very wealthy parents that they didn't own them. So it sounds backward, right? It's kind of a rebellious kind of thing. So what I asked this person was, do you feel safe? And that was the thing. They didn't feel safe. They didn't want anybody to know that, right? So they do just the opposite. So I ended up working on the root chakra for safety, grounding, and protection. And probably within, and then, we had some exercises and some homework and different things. I would say within a week, stopped using, went to school, life shifted because the energy shifted. But it's really about that discovery of why.
Okay.
Not everybody has the same thing, unfortunately. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was a good question, both of you. And if it comes up again with these others, because rose quartz is a good one too. The person needs to love themselves more than their addiction. And that's a tough one. Because they, if they're not worthy, they definitely aren't going to love themselves.
So if you were to use it in meditation for your addiction, would you then set the intent to figure out the root cause, and the vibration will help you with that?
Absolutely. You're asking spirit and having the amethyst increase that as much as possible to guide you to root. You're ready with my eyes wide open. Yes, I'm afraid, but I'm willing to go for it. Those kinds of, or as I might say sometimes, bring it on, let's do it, right? It gets a little scary, but that's a good question, Wendy.
I have another one.
Sure.
So would amethyst be a better stone than, let's say, quartz, if you actually want to tune in during a meditation to your highest spirituality or to get spiritual guidance?
Again, it would depend upon what your makeup is on a spiritual level. Each one of us has our own blocks and mental constructs and emotional constructs around the way the world works. And most people think that's their reality. But in reality, none of it, because it's all constructs. Because I had this experience, I believe this, and then I put this on top of it, and I did this. And so let's say monkey mind might be the biggest challenge. So would there be a stone that would help with monkey mind? Well, probably being more grounded would help with monkey mind. Or some people are addicted to their monkey mind. They think that those thoughts are real instead of just distractions. So you keep digging on it. I call it excavating until you go, oh my goodness. I love arguing with my monkey mind because eventually I'm going to win. And the truth is, right? Yeah, that's a good question too. Cool. You ready to go back? All right. Cool. Good job. Good question. Love it. All right. Now we're at labradorite. So labradorite is an incredibly beautiful stone. I don't know if you can see this, but it has that opalescent on it. And I'll pick this up again. So usually all the different definitions for labradorite is all about bringing in the light, being the light, light within. So that's a fantastic stone. Again, where would you put this in your home, in your feng shui? So for instance, I have a gorgeous piece, huge piece that was given to me by students, and it's at my entryway because I am inviting in the light in my home. So that would be an example of the way you could use it. You could put it on your, when you move to the work. So let's say you want to, this is a really great example. I was a mediator, no, not a mediator. I coordinated a panel at a convention, and one of the people on it, it was all about Reiki, using Reiki in your day-to-day life. And one of the people was an insurance person. And what she did at her workplace is before she picked up the phone or wrote a letter denying somebody's benefits, she always would bring in the light so that it was for the highest good. So that's how she informed. So she made sure that even though if you say she denied benefits, and you go, ooh, that doesn't sound good, but it might be the best thing that happened to that person because it moves them onto the correct path. So she was a really great example of somebody who brought in, using the labradorite, she brought in light to the situations that could be very dark. Of course, jewelry, that's a really easy place, right? Where would you want to bring in the light? So you would put it on your body somewhere. You could do it as, of course, up by the throat. So you bring in more light so that your speech is kind and considerate. You could put it on your right. So I do polarity. And if I'm informing, so I would bring in more light with my right hand, sending it and having my left hand receive it. It's passing through the body. And then labradorite, again, really good for meditation. So this would go into that idea, Wendy, your question about what stone would you use in meditation if you wanted to bring in? So maybe you might have a piece of labradorite and a piece of amethyst as an example. They would, so that would give you an idea, because this is a palm one. See how it fits just really nicely? And then you're laying your hand like this. So if you had a piece just like that, at say amethyst, you would really you should light up, right? For your meditation. But you want to be thinking again, why in the world would labradorite be about bringing light? Well, look at the quality of the labradorite. If you move it in the light, it lights up, right? It's opalescent. That's the quality that it's called, but it's interacting with the light. So that's what I'm talking about when you're considering your different crystals. You want to be thinking about how does it react? The purple, what do most people think? Ooh, purple. Vibrationally, we know purple's a higher vibration. Oh, okay. That would make sense that it's a spiritual one. okay, well, this interacts with the light in a very interesting way. Ah, it is about light. And when you look it up, you'll see bringer of light, inner light, all kinds of light things. I have one, a fairly good sized one on my altar. I have one by my front door. I have one by my desk because, you know, my idea of what I do is bring the light, share what I know, try to make the world a better place, those kinds of concepts, because that's what I think is, you know, I'm going to use this word, my job is to share, give as much information. So then all of you, when you leave this call, you're like, whoa, loving life, going out to your crystal store, maybe not, going online. So any questions about labradorite? It's pretty self-explanatory. When you start thinking of it in that way, it starts going, oh, that makes sense.
One question, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely.
You had mentioned with a patient where labradorite would not have been beneficial to her because she wasn't grounded.
Right.
Right. So when you have labradorite, for example, if you're holding labradorite or you think that you need it, but you don't, is there a way to sense that it's not right for you?
Oh, well, last class we did the dowsing.
Oh,
So
got
that's one of the ways that you would do it. If you're very intuitive, which is the class before that, you get a chance to, there's a sense of what's true.
Mm.
And it's called discernment. And discernment's not like, oh yeah, I got discernment. Discernment is a skill. It's something you practice and practice and practice, and you get better at it. And you find ways to double check yourself.
Okay.
So for instance, for myself, I am very grounded. That is one of the things about me that's, you know, there might be a lot of other things, but I think in folders and I'm very grounded. So labradorite is easy for me to go, oh yeah, the light. You start talking about what the next stone, obsidian, very grounding. I'm like, yeah, it's a nice stone because I'm not drawn to it.
Mm.
So I listen to that piece too. And part of the discernment is being able to say, oh, this is my ego, you know, oh, I'm so good. And then this is guidance,
Okay.
you know, so it's those kinds of things.
Okay.
And I think you're signed up for the energy mastery class, right?
Yes, I don't think I got the link back yet, but
haven't.
I'm looking forward to that. Okay.
Yeah. I must have gotten a dozen requests this weekend. And I'm like, okay, I can
People I
get.
know you got at least a few, so okay, good.
But we'll be talking a little bit more about discernment in that class too.
Great.
So that'll help. That's
Thank you.
on July 19th. I'm
Mm.
co-teaching it with another wicked cool person, Caitlin. So
Great.
yeah, that's a good question. Discernment is something that it's not easy. You know, it's like I'm trying to think, you know, I'm an occupational therapist. So the first time 40 years ago, I'm treating patients, I couldn't tell whether somebody was telling me the truth or not.
Mm.
Now, 40 years later, there's no doubt.
Mm.
There's this tone in their voice. There's a look in their eye. There's a hesitation. I'm like, okay, they're not telling the truth,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So that's discernment. I'm not going to call them a liar, but I am going to know that something's funky there.
Mm.
Does that help a little bit?
It helps a lot, and it's also relieving that you said it's a skill that you can build, because
Oh yeah.
I've taken decades to try to get into this because I really feel like I don't have the skill. I thought maybe it was something that I'd have to be born with, but
Oh no.
yeah.
Everybody to me is intuitive. Everybody.
Mm.
But what it is our discovery of how special we are, not in how special,
Mhm.
but like I thought everybody heard guidance.
Mm,
I didn't realize people didn't hear it
mm.
until I asked somebody, I'm like, did you hear that? And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, okay, they think I'm having hallucinations. But it's, you know, it's once you learn that everybody has it, and then you get your tribe here and you can say, oh, that's when you start feeling safer within yourself.
Mm.
It does take time. Anybody else? Because I know several of you are quite intuitive. So any other words of wisdom for, it's Jane, right?
Yes.
Valerica, she's been around a while. Jen, Wendy. Yeah.
What
From
I
my
am doing when
experience, from my experience, the intuition, sometimes the intellectual mind comes into play and says, oh, no, 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 you are not right. You can't do that. That's not true. That's so in the last few years, I try to pay attention to that and make the discernment between the two.
Mm.
Exactly. You're going back and forth. That's good. Wendy, you were going to say something?
am I muted or not?
Not now.
I'm like that Saturday Night Live skit. I find though when I'm trying for discernment and I get so caught up in the answer, and you get totally like stuck in your head, and then I'm just like, take a step. And I'm like, you know what? There is no right. There is no wrong. So, you know what? I'm just gonna choose
Right.
and go from there.
Right. That's a very good, because our mind is tricky. It's very tricky. So you have to, okay, which one's telling me? I have no idea, but I'm going to take one step. And then after a while, what you learn is that, oh, when I feel this, then this is what it means.
Mm.
And when I'm really grounded, like I feel like when we're talking, I feel very practical, things like that. I'm grounded, I'm there. But if I'm not making any sense and not thinking in folders, then I'm not grounded. So it's like those are my cues. Everybody has different ones. Butterflies in your stomach, those are somewhat normal. But if you got butterflies in your head, yeah, that's not normal, right? You start paying attention to that. Cool, good questions. All right, let's see what we got next. I think it's obsidian. One of my favorites. Yes, obsidian. So what I have here on my desk is an obsidian, it's polished, and it's called the Twin Hearts. So I'll show it to you when it comes back on. So obsidian, grounded. What in the world, why in the world would that be so? Well, obsidian is black, and it's also is formed by molten lava. So that's about as earthy as you can get. Very grounding. It's black, which is really deep. And so that's one of the qualities you want to look for in the obsidian, is that quality. So where would you put obsidian in your environment, your home, your feng shui? Okay, so this piece here that I'm going to show you is actually on my mantle in my bedroom. And so it's obsidian, so it's grounding, it's double hearts. So I'm grounding love in the intimate space of my house. So that's a really good, powerful way of doing it, right? The next place that I have obsidian is in my work area. And I have a huge circle of obsidian. It's a real big piece. And it's on, in the feng shui world, it's on my career wall because I want it, everything I do, I want it to be very grounded. I don't want to be in the airy fairy woo-woo world, even though I am in the woo-woo world. I don't want to be not making sense.
Mm.
So this is the ways that I'm using obsidian in my world. I don't use too much obsidian in jewelry because, as I was sharing earlier, I'm pretty grounded. I have a really large pendant that I wear, but nothing else do I own in the jewelry world is grounding. I mean, is obsidian, and because I am so grounded. And then in meditation, I tend to sit on the floor on a meditation cushion, and I'm usually very grounded because I'm sitting on the ground, sitting on the floor. But a nice way you can ground during meditation is if you have small tumbled pieces of obsidian or tourmaline or jet black or onyx, black onyx, all of those, if you put them around your meditation cushion, it grounds the process. So this is the, I don't know if you can see, can you see the hearts? It's a really polished, and I think it's called rainbow obsidian. Yeah. So it's polished and all that good stuff, but it's the way they cut it. So it again refracts the light. So questions about obsidian? That one, it's probably starting to make sense to you now that we're using that format. I have a client who is very ungrounded and to a point where it causes her to have cardiac problems. And so I'm in a store, of course, I'm in a crystal store, and I picked up a piece of black tourmaline for her. Gorgeous piece, fit in the palm of her hand, you know, it was just gorgeous, and gave it to her for like a birthday or something. I'm like, please. Put this in your purse, on your body, so that she could be more grounded, so that she stops having those cardiac experiences, because she was coming up out of her body and then her whole physical body is like, what? So then she would have, you know, angina, arrhythmias. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Like what we do to ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah. So any questions about that? You're good. Okay. Let's go to the last one, which is rose quartz. You guys could probably teach this part of it. Okay, actually you could. You don't need that. Okay. Where would you put rose quartz? In your environment or home or as a feng shui? Where would you put it?
Everywhere.
Yes, you would. Yeah. But if you want to focus the energy, what do you want to do? This is, well, maybe at the front door. Because rose quartz is all about compassion, love. So what you're inviting into your front door is that. You're looking for only the people that are coming in with compassion and love. That's it. Or another place that you would, like I have a big piece of, it's a big chunk of raw rose quartz, and it's on my mantle in my living room. And that's I'm setting the tone of the home. So when I placed it on there, that was what I was thinking. I basically told the rose quartz, your job here is to see to it that this home vibrates with love and compassion. So it's got its job. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Would there be a connection to putting a stone in a kitchen, for example, like a rose quartz in the kitchen?
Sure.
For the food that you're making, or would
Absolutely.
that be affected by the, okay.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's all about the vibration. If you look at that piece of rose quartz and it makes you smile, do you think that smile gets into your food?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'm coming to this, and I'm surprised a little bit by myself, but I think I'm coming to this now realizing I've had a fear of crystals. Like I don't want to use the wrong one.
Well, you want to be mindful.
Okay.
You know, you do want to be mindful because you don't want to, be trying to use one when the better one will actually, it's like the lady that asked me about labradorite, and I said, let's not bring in the light yet. Let's get you nice and grounded first.
Mm.
She must have known that for her to reach out to ask me,
Mm.
right? Some part
Right.
of her says, call Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she did, which was great.
Mm.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, you don't need to be afraid of crystals. They're your friend.
Okay.
And the key piece is just being practical and saying, okay, well, if this is all about compassion, where do I want compassion to be in my life? Okay, if I want it in my kitchen, then I would get a big honking piece, and that would be my centerpiece.
Mm.
And if somebody asks you about it, you can say, only people who have big hearts can be in my kitchen. Do you have a big heart? Do the dishes.
Yeah, right on the sink. That's a good idea.
It's a good place for you, right? So that would be home, environment, feng shui. You want to look, where do we want compassion? Then the next place, right, is work, or like for healing work. Everybody thinks of healing work that you're going to put it on the heart, right? But what if the person doesn't say everything that's on their mind? What if they keep their mouth shut because they don't want to say the wrong thing, Jane, right? Don't want to say the wrong thing. Okay. So I might then have a tendency, I have a bunch of little tumbled, I might put one there while I'm working with them and just even have them put their hands on there and say, oh, so I could speak what I need to speak, but I could speak it from a compassionate standpoint.
Mm.
Oh, see how you're using the vibration of the stone to make the change in the energy. And the more conscious it is, the more it informs all aspects of yourself, right? The conscious, the unconscious, the subtle body energies, the physical body. We want all of it to be in harmony. Because when it's incoherent, when it doesn't match, the inside and the outside don't match. Jen is a big animal person, and she knows this. If your inside and your outside don't match, the animal wants nothing to do with you, right? Yeah, they're like, no, you don't really you think you're happy. We know something different about you. So it's the same thing with the crystals, is they'll help you get coherent. Inside, outside matches. And that's where you feel good when you're inside and you're outside. You're not hiding, because really you can't hide. It's either going to show on the outside eventually, or in the inside it's going to talk to you so loudly, especially if you put amethyst and a labradorite in your hands and then meditate. Game over, right? So in the healing work, you want to be mindful only about what am I going to be asking the person to do. So for instance, sometimes I will have a clear quartz in their left hand, and I'll have a rose quartz in their right hand, because in polarity, this is the one that's bringing the energy. So I'm asking them to take in compassion, and then I'm really making sure it passes through their entire body. I want them to really have an experience of taking in compassion and really having this full experience. Because most people don't let it in, right? Because if you let it in, what's going to happen? You might either feel love or you might get hurt.
Mhm.
So people are going to try to avoid. Because we think if we avoid it, then we won't feel hurt. But then we only feel like we're missing the boat, right? You know? It's a challenge, but that's, so rose quartz, right? We've got what you're doing for your home, where you might do it for work. So let's say your work, you could be at a desk job, right? Where could you be? So this has a cute little stand, right? Where would that remind you about what you want to bring into your work? Sometimes you can sit it right at the top of your desk. Sometimes it's at your right. If you're right-handed, it's on the right side. Something that reminds you, yep, I need to be compassionate to myself. I need to be compassionate to the people on. And so this is what I'm bringing into my day-to-day work. A lot of people don't like their job. So that makes it really hard. I love my job. I feel very blessed. But you want that, this will help magnify it, the compassion piece. So then the next is jewelry. And so where would be the best place for you to wear rose quartz? Anywhere, right?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, we'd all think about the heart. I was reading an article today about the high heart. So you have the heart chakra, which is a major chakra, and it's usually laying over, it's in where your thymus is. So here's your sternum, right? And your thymus is about right here. It's a little bump right there. So that would be where the heart chakra is. And then the high heart's above it. And they talk about the activation of the high heart is the compassionate heart. It's considered a minor chakra, but so you would end up wearing it a little shorter, as an example. Or you might want to make sure you hear with compassion. And that would mean not only what you hear from others, but what you tell yourself. So it's every time you reach up and you feel that, you go, oh, okay, that's right. Today's my day to be compassionate with myself. So I'm going to say nice things to myself. Or bracelets are great. Things that whatever is going to be a good one for reminding you, because this is on the outside of your body. You want your physical body to be informed by this compassion. All right, let's go inside. What does compassion mean inside in meditation? Yeah. It's all about love, right? But what does that really mean? I mean, I think that at least my experience as an energy worker is that a lot of people have this, what did somebody call it? The Cinderella syndrome. There's going to be a Prince Charming. He's absolutely going to be on the white horse. He's going to look like drop dead gorgeous, full head of hair, whatever, all the things. Bill talks really good, whatever it is. And yet, I mean, as fabulous as my husband is, he's not on a charger. I don't know if I've ever known him to ride a horse. So it's like those kinds of things where it's like, it's a reality check. Because what really is love? I'm reading a book and they talk about that most people have a childlike vision or version of what love is. So when you really get into a place of loving from the inside out, then you're much more accepting, much more forgiving, much more all these things. And you realize that nobody's perfect, including yourself. It's those kinds of things. So that to me is what the inside of compassion would look like. The bodhicitta, bodhisattva, those are Buddhist terms. So the magnification of that inside, and then you might be wearing your jewelry on the outside, and then you got it in, Robin's got it all over her house, and you know. And so what that does is it informs everything around you about compassion. And then, you know, you have to clean your jewelry and you have to clean your crystals. And, you know, like when my crystals are talking to me and it's time for them, then they go sit out on my deck. There are certain ones that shouldn't go outside. And all you have to do is, like, selenite is a definite, don't put it in water. Maybe put it on your windowsill to clean it, especially depending upon what you're asking them to do. That's the most important part. What's their job in your house? So I hope that this was helpful. Do you have any more questions? Yes, Valerica.
So how do we, I don't feel the energy so much and I like to improve it. So is there a way to improve the connection between the crystals and my intuition, my inner self? That's one question.
Uh-huh.
And then if I do a crystal healing at distance, is it okay to, so I have a little bear that I use for Reiki.
Uh-huh.
Is it okay to put crystals on the bear and around the bear?
Absolutely.
And does the client need to have any crystals during the session? No. Okay. So
Yeah, energy work is energy work.
yes. Okay. So
I have wands that I treat, especially like when I'm doing a lot of the animals.
mm-hmm,
You know, I might use the selenite a lot
mm-hmm,
because I want to clear the energy that they're absorbing from the owner.
mm-hmm.
That's a good question. So distant work, whatever you would do to a person in person, you can do that to the bear for distant work. It's absolutely, you just want to clear the crystals every single time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you do. And then just like with the intuition and with the dowsing, it's the same thing. It's find a crystal that you really like, whatever that might be. Let's say you're really drawn to rose quartz. So then what I would do is I would develop a relationship with the rose quartz. I would wear it. You might even do some gem water. Have you ever done that?
No.
So gem, it's GEM, water, and you can put some, just a couple of the small tumbled stones into water, do it overnight, and then you can decide how you want to take it. You could douse it and you could say, okay, I'm going to take this for 1 week and I'm going to take a tablespoon. And that's what I'm going to do. And then let's see how you feel with your rose quartz when you're done. And then you notice a difference between the rose quartz and say, now you want to work with labradorite. See which one gives you a buzz and go from there. Okay. And now you just you know how you do with angels and fairies and deities and things like that. You get to know, you meditate with this one, and then you recognize their signature. Same thing.
Okay.
You just work with one and then you just keep working with it until you go, oh, okay, I recognize its signature.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it just takes practice. So, any other questions?
Well, what draws me often to crystals is I pick them up you know, the charge and where I feel it in my body, but oftentimes it's kind of how strong it is. And I have to say, some of, I just went to somebody's ceiling. I don't know what everybody else is seeing. But anyway, some of the, I have 3 rocks that I picked up in Crestone, Colorado. So unlike amethyst, I don't know what they are. They're just rocks. So it's not like I would put them in my entryway to only let like highest vibration people in.
Right. Ah.
You know, and so I, you know, kind of actually I meditate with them lying down and let them kind of configure my energy body sometimes when I'm feeling scattered, whether that's right or wrong, but it works for me.
Well, they are, the vibration is Colorado.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So that's the vibration that they're bringing to you. And that's a beautiful country. And it is very earth-based. So makes perfect sense to me that they would reorganize your energy body and ground you. Fantastic.
Huh.
So you're pretty intuitive. So there you go.
It's funny. But sometimes you have, like, I have lots of crystals that I just feel almost guilty because I don't use them. Like, I feel like I'm ignoring them. I'm like, am I doing you an injustice by just letting you collect dust on the shelf?
Oh,
I know.
maybe that's all they're supposed to do, is to hold the space for you. Right? You just say thank you every once in a while. Right?
I put them out during full moons.
And they are thankful. Right. Too funny. That's good. Anybody else?
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
So I don't know. So I have a citrine. Is there any way to know, like if it's been heat treated? Because I've read that citrine can be heat treated and really like amethyst.
Right. Right. The thing that I'm aware of is that if you go to an actual stone or rock store, they actually can run a little lab test on it.
Okay.
That's as much as you can. I belong to several crystal groups, and that's the thing, that's the reason why it's being done, is that they can trick people.
Right.
You know, they heat treat it, but yeah. Usually citrine is it's not usually real rich.
Mm-hmm.
If it's really bright and bold and golden,
Yeah.
like I have a piece, it's gorgeous. It's almost bronze, it's so gorgeous, but it's probably heat treated amethyst.
Yeah.
But that's what I would have to do, is take it to a stone store. There's some kind of like acid they put on it, and whatever it does, then that tells them one way or the other. That's a good question. Beautiful.
Thank you.
What are some of your favorite places to find crystals?
Well, my most favorite is the one Jen went with me, right? We went down to
Yeah.
Lexington. Crystal Clear.
In
Have you
my-
ever gone to that?
Never heard of it.
She doesn't have a storefront, but I can send you her information and do an introduction.
Oh, she doesn't even have a website?
Nope.
One of those people.
Yeah, she has a spiritual group. And then I think 4 times a year, she takes a trip and she brings back tons, and I mean literally tons, of great rocks, and they are blessed and clean and clear. Phenomenal.
Yes, please, thank you. That'd be
Oh
wonderful.
yeah, you will love her. You will just, when she has a sale, you're gonna be there like I am an hour before it starts. So Wendy,
I'm interested also, Cindy.
oh, okay, yep. I'll introduce you. I don't know when she's going to do it, but
Where is she located?
she's in Lexington.
And
But
did you say in future sessions you're going to talk about shapes or just colors?
I can. It's funny. I sent out part of it was like, tell me what you want me to talk about.
Oh, I missed that.
That's all right. So I can put that down on my list.
I barely RSVP'd.
It's all good. So shapes, because sacred geometry is a big deal. So that's
Yeah, and attending.
yeah,
Using it for, as always.
exactly. No, that's good. Okay. Well, Well, thanks, guys. Next week is meditation, so it's not going to be a lot about, quote, meditating, but I'm going to be telling you basically how I got onto meditation and the different ways that you can do to either develop a practice, tweak your practice, because I spontaneously, being raised on a farm, decided one day I wanted to start meditating. Of course, my family thought I had lost it. But I just started doing it because it felt good. And then my,
Neat, and then they totally disowned you.
they have, but I pretend that I'm still part of the family. But the thing is that it's like, what is really meditation? And everybody goes, oh, I can't meditate. Well, everybody can meditate. It just depends upon what you do. And even if it's 5 minutes, that's meditation. So I'm going to share all kinds of different things that you can use to create or improve or tweak. Because I've tried them all. Because I was 15, so that was a long time ago. 45 years. So everybody have a good rest of the evening. I will send you this recording when it comes in, and I'll send you the handout. Okay?
Thank you.
Much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sydney.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome.